Welcome back to Lowarn Sewalong. This is part 2 of the sew along, so today we're doing cutting and interfacing. And I'm Jo, and this is my sister Debbie.
Hi.
So Debbie's going to be doing a lot of the sewing with me. Debbie's still quite new to bag making, so it's quite handy because she's kind of asked the right questions that other people might ask. So it's nice to have you all with us. We've got a few people from all over sort of Britain by the looks of it, Surrey and London and things like that. We've also got a few people from America, South California, very nice, Kentucky, North Carolina, oh, and from South Africa, and Colorado, oh, and Delva from Puerto Rico. So it's nice, we've got people from all over. Thanks so much for joining us. So this is a 4-part sew along. Last week we did the preparation part, so you can catch up on the YouTube on that. Today we're doing cutting and interfacing, and then the next 2 sessions are when we're actually going to be sewing the bag. So we're making the Lowarn bag, but we're making it without the pockets on the side. Of course you can make the pockets if you want to, and if you're making the pockets you'll need to make sure that you cut out the extra pieces for the pockets today. I did see somebody just mentioning about deciding whether to make it a crossbody bag or not, so I just thought I would attach this one and show you kind of how it looks as a crossbody. So it just purely attaches here. I do have a short video on YouTube for connecting it to the side instead if you want to do that. So something we totally forgot about last week was binding, didn't we?
Yep.
We both forgot. So binding is used at the very end of this pattern, and so just in case anybody doesn't have their binding ready, I just wanted to kind of give you a few options. So the binding is used here to cover the seams on the insides. So you really can't see it. I mean, you kind of got to really look into the bag to see the binding. So for me, I kind of cheat with my binding. I do the quickest possible method, which for me is buying it pre-made from Amazon. So this is double fold binding. Double fold just means it's folded in once and then it's folded again. So it's got no raw edges when you sew it on. So this is 1 3/4 inches. I'm just going to double check. Yeah, 1 3/4 inches wide. Once it's finished being folded, it's 1/2 inch wide. So you want to make sure it's 1/2 inch. You can make your own binding and you can do it out of the fabric that you're using for the lining, and that looks really great. But I am way too impatient to do that. So I do just use this stuff. Another option is fold over elastic. Now I see a lot of people using this recently, so this is another great option. Fold over elastic has like a crease down the middle, and you literally can just fold it over the seam and sew it into place, and because it's a little bit stretchy it makes it really easy to sew on. So in my opinion it's a little bit thicker than using the binding, but it is supposed to give a really nice finish, though I've not tried it yet. And your last option for binding is waterproof canvas. Lots of people like to use waterproof canvas. They cut it 1 inch wide and they literally just fold it over the seam and just sew it on, because you can leave the edges raw. So that is your third option for the binding. So because I forgot to mention that last week, you will need it.
But not for 2 weeks.
Yeah, not for 2 weeks, so you got loads of time if you need to get some. Okay, so we will get started. Today we're cutting and interfacing, and I wanted to show you guys how we do block fusing, because a lot of people don't block fuse, and it's like, definitely we prefer it, don't we?
I do, yeah.
Debbie's like a massive fan of block fusing. Debbie's a fan of fusing the whole piece of fabric, and even if she's not using the whole thing, and then when you come back later Debbie said it's like the jackpot.
It's amazing.
Like, you come back to make another bag and you're like, yes, it's already interfaced.
Yeah.
So but I'm going to show you the way that I do it to reduce waste and make sure that you're only interfacing what you need. Okay, so we're going to start with the exterior fabric. So this is the exterior fabric we chose. It's canvas, so that's why we're interfacing it. We're going to be using cork as well, but the cork we're not going to interface. Okay, so basically what I do is I lie out my fabric, and you can probably tell I already cut this one down a bit. So Adam, are you able to go to the overhead for me? Thanks. Okay. So I am in the overhead shot, aren't I? Yes. Okay, so basically I've got my cutting sheet. Now, if you're doing the pockets version, you've got a different sheet. So make sure you pick the right one. It's a little bit bright in here. I'm just gonna see if I can, sorry. Has that helped, Adam? No? No, okay. Basically on your cutting sheet, it's gonna list each piece that you need, which pattern piece you need, and whether it needs to be interfaced or not. The non-woven is optional. Non-woven is cheaper than woven, quite a lot cheaper. So that's why I specify it for places like the crossbody strap and the handle connectors. But if you just want to use woven, that's what I'm actually going to do because I don't have any non-woven right now. I'm going to use woven for all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the pieces. I've written here the pieces that I'm using the pink fabric for. And I'm going to grab my acrylic templates for those pieces. Debbie's just going to try and sort out my lighting issue. No. I think you need to close that one, Adam. Better? Yes, we're good. Okay.
It's the British weather, the sun's coming
yeah, the sun's come out, it's thrown us. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the pattern pieces that I need. I'm using acrylics. If you're printing your pattern, you will have your pattern pieces looking like this. Now, the first thing you need to do is check your size square. So just check that this measures 2 inches by 2 inches before you start. If it doesn't, there can be a few reasons, like perhaps you've not got it set to print at 100%. So make sure it's set to print at 100%. Make sure that you're printing it from a computer, not a mobile device, and that there's no scaling going on. Okay, so that's the first thing to check. And then what you need to do is cut out each of your pattern pieces from the paper just on the solid line. The reason these pattern pieces have got these dashed lines is because if you're sewing like curves, sometimes it can be really hard to get the curve perfect. So I've done this, it's totally optional. Basically you can print these again and cut them on the dotted line just there. So I'll show you one that I've done. So I did this to pattern piece E. I just cut it on the dotted line. Then when we come to sew this, I'm going to put it on my pattern piece and draw around it, and that will just give it a perfect seam line. So when I'm sewing it, I can follow that line. It just makes sewing curves that little bit easier. Okay, so I've got my pattern pieces. I am starting with the top section of the bag. So this is my tongue closure piece and these are my top pieces. And that's what I've got here. So what I do when I'm block fusing is I try to place everything where I'm going to want it. So my tongue closure, I kind of want it to be centered on here, so that like this flower is really prominent on it. So what I'm going to do, I think I might start from the other end, see if that's better placement. Okay, I'm going to place my tongue closure where I want it. This is my top section. Now, when you fuse it, it's going to shrink. That's why I like to fuse before I cut, because it will shrink just a little bit if you've not pre-washed your fabrics. So I'm allowing a little bit of space. I've also got this pattern piece. I can fit those down there. So what I'm just going to do is place them one after another. Let's see, I need one of those. Now if you've got a fussy fabric like me, you're going to want to make sure that maybe you're going to lose a little bit of fabric because you want to have them placed over the pretty flowers, but that's totally optional. Okay, so next I need my front and back, and I want that centered again. Another pocket piece, and another front and back. Okay, so that's how I do it. I just put all my pattern pieces out. then I know roughly how much fabric I need. Now, I could cut a little bit off here to save this a little bit, but I'm actually going to leave it as it is because this print is so fussy that I want to be able to like move everything around a bit, so I want a bit of extra spare fabric. But now that I'm happy that this is the right amount of fabric, I'm just going to fuse the whole thing. So I'm going to fuse all of this piece of fabric to my woven interfacing, and then I'm going to cut it. And what that means is I only have to cut it once rather than cutting twice. So we'll take it over to the iron. Debs, are you going to fuse this for us?
A question there from Willow.
Okay, so Willow, would you choose interfacings according to the type of fabric you use, i.e. would you use a thicker interfacing for quilters cotton? Yeah, so that's a really good question, and I would, if I could easily get like a heavier woven, then I would definitely use a heavier woven on my quilting cotton. It's a little bit hard to come by here. I know in America you guys have got what is it called? SewFuse Plus, I think, that Cast Iron Handcrafted does. And you've also got a couple of others that are like really like thicker ones. I would definitely use that on quilting cotton if I could get it. But here, unless somebody can recommend in the UK like a really thick one, I generally can't seem to find any thicker. Sometimes I will put 2 layers of my interfacing on if the fabric's really thin and if I think I need it. Oh yes, so Wanna Knit, he says about cutting out the fabric first, placing onto the interfacing, butting it together and then fusing it. So I used to do that, but I find that then I have to cut it twice. I've got to cut it from the fabric and then I've got to cut it once I've interfaced it. And I find that my fabric shrinks a little bit, just a little bit, when I fuse it. So then sometimes my pattern pieces are coming out a little bit smaller, which is why I've ended up doing it this way. But I know there's like 100 different ways to do this and everybody does it slightly differently.
My top tip is make sure that your interfacing is the right way before you iron glue onto your iron.
Yeah, Debbie's top tip, don't iron straight onto the interfacing.
Once you've done it once, you probably won't do it again.
I think everybody's done that at least once. Yeah, when you're not paying attention and you just didn't realise that it's face up. So whilst Debbie's doing that, I will start to get my lining fabric ready. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Debs. She's hidden it from me. Okay. So my lining fabric, I'm going to do the same thing as before. Do we want this to be more of a dark purple, Debs, or more like light orangey pink?
Either, although I think lining sometimes is quite nice when it's dark because if you get any makeup on it or something, it's not
I like that that's
devastating, is it?
Okay.
Or white lining. How do people cope with a white lining?
Okay, so I'm going to grab my pattern pieces that I need for my lining and just do the same thing again. Yep, so we're good there. Right. Another thing I meant to say is if you want your top panels to like line up really well, then when we cut them out, we can do that so that like the pattern matches. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this is my biggest piece I'm going to want, so I'll put that there. Now, because I've got stripes, I should probably try and make sure that they all line up. So I'm just going to leave a little gap in between each one to account for the fact that it's going to shrink. Because I want to make sure that I have enough fabric. So, one of those, another one of those. Okay, one of those. One of those. Okay, so this fabric from Blended Threads is really wide. At least with stripes you can kind of follow it as you cut it, which is quite nice. And you know it's going to be straight.
Hopefully there are other people here who have also ironed to the wrong side of interfacing.
Like, you can't be the only one, I'm sure, pretty sure. I've done it, so unless it just runs in our family. Oh, Hazel, you know you said about making a right mess. That is another reason that I have started doing it this way, because before, when I was cutting out my fabric and then putting it on the interfacing, I kept, like, the edges kept making my iron really messy, so then I had like Teflon sheets to try and stop that from happening, and it never went well. My iron always ended up dirty, and then I'd iron Adam's shirts and destroy them. He was not happy. So that's my lining fabric cut out, ready for Debbie to interface in a minute. Something I wanted to ask everybody about is presses. So there's a lot of people that have presses for adhering interfacing. Now, I know, like, the big downside is obvious, it's size. So for me, it's like space. Where do I keep it? That's the big problem with a press, which is why I, stuck with my iron for now. Sorry, Debbie, are you looking for your interfacing?
I am.
Yeah, I put it over here.
Lovely, thank you.
So that's why I've been sticking with an iron all this time, is because of space. But I'd love to hear what everybody thinks about presses and whether anybody's got one but they don't use it because they prefer the iron. Because, it's not something I've actually tried, and I hear a lot on Facebook groups, and a lot of people have messaged me and said, you should get one. But what do you guys think? What's the pros and cons of having a press? Hi Sharon, you're not too late. We haven't done the bulk of the cutting yet, so... Debbie's just interfacing the exterior fabric. I've got the lining fabric cut out ready for her.
Sorry, it's a slow process.
No, that's fine. Everybody's wishing they had a Debbie right now to interface for them, I think.
Well, unless it comes out wobbly. Which it always does a little bit.
Yeah, I was maybe a little bit of bubbling. Maybe that's something that a press is better at. Making sure that it adheres absolutely perfectly. But also, I'm using a different brand of interfacing right now that I was recommended to give it a try, and I bought like a whole bolt, which was massive. And I hate it. I really, really don't like it. So I'm wishing I'd stuck with the one that I used to use. But there you go. You live and learn. Okay, so Debbie's interfaced this whole piece for me. So now, Adam, if you can just go back to the overhead, I'll show you how we're going to cut out. So this is the tongue closure and the top piece. So this is where the three pieces are going to be lined up. These three. So you'll see that we've got the zip in between. So if we cut them out together and we line up the back piece, the back panel, then what's going to happen is the zips will take out this part of the seam allowance, but the pattern will ultimately line up. It will just have the zip cut out. So what I'm going to do is do my tongue closure first, because I want this flower to be really prominent. So you can see I cut out some extra because I just wanted to make sure we can move this around and get these exactly where we want them. When you're fussy cutting, you do end up using a lot more fabric. Right. Just trying to keep this straight. Never know whether it's a good idea to cut curves with a rotary cutter or not, but I'm going to do it. Okay, so that's my tongue cut out. Now I want my top sections to line up. So I'm making sure that this back edge is lined up, because that's what's important, because the tongue is longer. so hopefully you can see here that they're going to line up perfectly, and we will lose some to the zip, but because the zip's like replacing what's taken away, it will look like it's all lined up. So I'm just finding that nick there in the fabric where the other panel finished. Hazel says she never uses steam on G700. You find it sticks better? That's quite interesting. G700 is my favourite, but it's not what I've got at the moment. But I use a lot of steam. I've not really thought about it. Right, I'm going to cut out 2 of these now on my bag. I don't know. It's mine and Debbie's bag. We're going to have.
They're going to have a fight over it.
Yeah, we are.
Depending how well it comes out.
We're going to have like the zip grab tabs on the back, but I'm making them out of this canvas because the cork is just going to be way too thick. So I'll cut 2 of these. So this pattern piece F, is for the handle connectors and the zip grab tabs. Okay, that's that one. Try fusing without steams, may reduce the bubbles. Do you want to give it a go, Dubs?
Yeah, I think we might have tried that last time with this one.
Yeah, I think it might be this brand that's getting us down.
Okay.
I would trade my stove for a heat press, says Kathleen. That is great. Okay, so they're that good, are they? I use iron board and iron for my interfacing, as my sewing room is in my garage. Yeah, it's space, Connie. Space is the issue, definitely. For those of us with space issues, a press is massive. Okay, those are my 2 handle connectors. So I'm done with that pattern piece and that pattern piece. Now I'm going to cut out my front and back. Oh, no I'm not, because I want to have this flower central again. So instead I will go for pattern piece E. Now pattern piece E is the end of the bag. It's where your pockets will go if you're having pockets. I'm just going to cut out 2 of these because we're just going to have the end pieces. If you are cutting this out and you're making the pockets, you're going to have to follow the guidelines for the extra pockets. Now I'm just going to try and centralise that. We're definitely going to have wasted fabric with this fussy cutting, but I think it's worth it on this fabric. Oh, okay. Yeah. See, that's going to look cool on the end. Okay, next up we are going with the front or the back panel. Can't decide whether I want this flower or this one fully in. Okay, I think I'm going to go with that. Yeah, that's going to look good, Debs, yeah?
Yep, that looks good.
Okay, right, we need to do another end panel. Okay, now where did we do the last one? Probably should make them match, shouldn't I?
Yeah, it's definitely worth being specific with this fabric, isn't it? To get the flowers in.
I reckon so. Not that you're going to see the ends together, but you want it to be pretty close. So if you're cutting with your paper pattern piece, I'd probably recommend like marking it and then cutting it. But I do find with these acrylics generally I can just go ahead and cut. Okay, so this is my last panel out of this fabric. Looks good, doesn't it?
Yep.
Straight.
I think you're almost perfectly matching the other one.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Okay. Right, so that is that done. So I have got a little bit of waste, but this is because of the whole fussy cutting situation. Hopefully with the lining fabric it will be less waste. Okay, so lining fabric, we're gonna cut out our top panel again, and this is kind of going to be on show because when you open up your tongue you can see this bit, so this bit is going to be on show. You're not going to notice really if there's a difference between these ones if they don't line up, but your front and back panels you are going to notice because there's like a join just here down the center. It's hard to see actually on this one, but if my stripes are like out and they're going this way, then I'd notice for sure. Okay, so lining. What do we need from the lining? We need two, yep, okay, so that's nice and easy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with these ones. I think I need to get my stripes straight, don't I?
So Mary says, I don't usually do fussy cutting, but I may have to try it for this bag. It looks so nice. But we don't usually, do we?
No, I'm really, well, you all know I'm a bit lazy sometimes with bag making. But I've got to admit, this kind of looks like it's going to be cool how it's all going to match up. I know it's going to lose it with the zips, but yeah, I think it will look good. I normally never do fussy cutting because I feel like it's a waste of fabric, but yeah, sometimes, every now and then I do. Right, so if there's anybody on that's got a press, let us know where you got your press from, because I have been wondering about that as well, especially here in the UK where people get their presses from. About to cut the wrong piece then.
I was just thinking, we don't need two of those, do we?
Yeah, were you about to say, Joe, that's not right.
So is anyone cutting along today too, or have you? Or are you watching? Going to do it later? Has everyone got their fabrics picked out?
Have you all decided whether you're having pockets or not?
Yeah, no pockets is definitely easier.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, let's put that there. Oh, is that straight? No, it's not. See, I always find it's funny that you can have stripes and suddenly they're not straight anymore. I suppose the fabric just moves very slightly.
Debt Free Life says, I got my press from Facebook Marketplace. That's a good idea.
Facebook Marketplace.
You can get some bargains there, can't you?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. What happens if they're not local? Is there a way to get around that, I wonder?
Liz RR says, I interfaced before but cutting now. Decided no pockets in the end.
Ah, going for an easy one as well. It's like
yeah, joining us with the easier one. And Dalva is cutting her exterior fabrics and pockets now. She's brave, she's going for the pockets.
Ooh.
I do think the finished bag with pockets is amazing. That's what I originally wanted Jo to make.
Yeah, that was the design you came up with, isn't it?
Yeah, bag with pockets on the ends. But actually making it myself is really hard.
Yeah, it was definitely harder. I'm just going to get rid of my little...
Susanna's just watching. Going to
scraps.
try and do it later. Hope you got a cup of tea or something.
Yeah.
That's a very British thing,
Cup of
isn't it?
tea and a piece of cake for a Sunday afternoon. That's
Mary's got her fabric picked out and packet pieces cut. Pockets as well for her.
Ooh, okay, we've got a few people doing pockets.
Doing it properly. Mary Kay Peanut is in the US and you got yours pressed from Amazon. So I wonder if we still on Amazon here as well.
I've got to admit, I'm really tempted to try one, but I just don't know where it's going to go, and I don't think Adam's going to be okay with the space.
Might need an extension.
Yeah, I think we might need to extend the house.
Cecilia's cutting, no pockets. She feels very social. That's good.
Right, so I'm just going to cut out my two lining
Okay,
ones.
so is it Arjaf or
Yep,
or
that's
Raf?
Becky.
Yeah, makes. She got hers from Amazon.
Oh, yeah?
It was £150, but really big, really large.
Oh, does that mean...
It doesn't actually sound too bad. I thought they were going to be...
Yes.
I suppose they're commercial.
Are they... yeah, I wonder how much you can do at once. Do you... Becky, do you have to cut it down? You know, we interface ours all at once, like the big strip of fabric. Do you need to cut it down if you're going to use a press? Or I suppose you could do it the same way and just keep moving through it.
Teresa's just watching for now, but thinks she would like to do pockets, going for the brave option.
Ooh, that is brave.
I do think if you've got
Those?
patience,
Yeah,
it's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, Adam, window needs to be open with all the pressing and sieving.
Arnetta asks, is there room for slip pockets on the inside?
Oh, is there room for slip pockets?
Good question.
I think you could do a little one along the back, but have you got your phone, Dibs? Maybe we
no,
can
it's over there.
demonstrate with the
Hang on a
phone.
minute.
I feel like it's like the universal size representation, isn't it?
It is. iPhone 11. Here you go.
Okay, so you could just about fit a slip pocket on the back panel, but it would be really close for fitting in like a phone or something like that. But I suppose if you did one that went across most of the panel, then yeah, you could fit a fair bit in there.
Debt Free Life says, my press is actually in my bathroom because my house is just very small.
I like
That's an
that.
idea. I wonder where else you could fit it if you're
I know.
creative.
That is an interesting solution actually.
Anne Maria says, hello from Argentina. This is my first time here.
Oh, hiya. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just mark off as I go. So I'm just going to, if you've ever done my patterns, hopefully you've noticed there's a tick box for when you've like cut it out. You can just tick it on your cutting list, so then you know where you're at. So we're not doing a crossbody strap, but we do need to do the base overlay, the handle connectors and the handles, and we're going to do that in cork, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay,
Which we have.
just over there. So I'll just move that out of the way. So you can see that I overestimated my fabric a little bit about how much it would shrink. I always like to just be extra cautious, but if you're doing this block fusing, you can just be more specific and make sure that you don't have any waste left over. I'm really hoping that one day I'm going to make a quilt. I'm keeping like all my little scraps, and I want to do like a really scrappy quilt. But yeah, I've not got there yet. Right, let's put that.
Now, I'm awful with names. Yilva has got her pockets cut out yesterday. She's ready to go.
Ooh, already? Oh yeah.
Liz RR was also considering adding a zip pocket inside, if not doing the outer pockets. Becca, did you say it's Becca that Sarja makes? Yeah.
Yeah, Becky. Yep.
Mine sits on my ironing board and then pick it up and down when it's not being used. Put it up and down when it's not being used.
Oh, that's
Yes.
actually...
I block fuse by interfacing. As you know, we have to make tons of the same bag to make sure it works.
I know, because Becky runs Arjaf Makes, who is the designer of that backpack that I made for you. the commuter backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
the one that you love.
Backpack. Yeah.
So yeah, when you're a designer, you just end up making like 7 or 8. For me, it's normally a 7. It's normally my magic number of different prototypes, trying out like a different thing on each one until I'm really, really happy with the pattern. Because I can't make up my mind at the beginning.
And shout out to Esther, hello, who is looking after my kids for me right now, so I can be here.
Thanks, Esther.
Sheila says, go big or go home, I need pockets.
Going for it with the pockets.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Oh, I'm interested.
It's just
to see
us that aren't doing it, Debs.
Custom Enzamoon fabric, Beetlejuice canvas. Do you know what that is? Is that a certain brand? Or
No.
I'm interested to see what that is.
Ooh, is Beetlejuice one of the what are they called? The custom fabric groups.
It is. It does say a custom one. So
Yeah.
Enzamoon fabric.
Very nice.
Yeah. And Hazel's thinking of using bag feet. We haven't done one with bag feet yet, have we?
No, we haven't. No, but you
Yeah.
could definitely do it. Yeah, it would be really simple. Now I'm trying to remember. Are we doing long handles?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to me it's a bit of an out bag. Like it's my nice bag. So bag feet would be quite a good idea.
Okay, so we are cutting our handles for the long length. So you've got 2 lengths to choose from, whether you want them to be like just grab handles or like shoulder handles. So we're going to go for shoulder handles.
Yeah.
And if you are doing the longer ones and you're using cork or vinyl, make sure that you're cutting it along the length. I used to just kind of start using my cork up, and then it quickly, because it's like 54 inches wide, you quickly can't make a handle out of it, or you can't make a strap out of it. So now I've learnt to just always cut it along that length, and then whatever bag I'm making next, I've still got a long enough piece to cut out a handle. Right, so I'm going to cut out both at once because they're only 2 inches wide.
Orby bags, hi. She's up in Devon, just the next county up from us, so pretty close.
Ah, so close.
Just managed to join you, but I'll catch up later. I love your patterns, Jo.
Ah, thank you so much. Oh, Devon, so close to us yet. They call it the posh Cornwall. I don't know if it really. I don't know if that really is true, but that is what I was always told when I was. When we were brought up, we were told. Yeah, Devon is the posh Cornwall.
Yeah.
It's like the slightly nicer version. Right, so
We get on most of the time until it comes to cream teas.
yeah, and then the Devonshire people and the Cornish people cannot agree on how to have scones. Yeah. I'm struggling with this marker. Oh, there's a chalk. Okay. So I'm just going to cut out these 2 handles. Just need to get roughly. Do you know, I'm really sketchy with my measurements when it comes to handles, but I want to get them roughly the right length. I'm a bit of a lazy bag maker. I think you can all tell by now by the way I do my binding.
Oh, Sheila says it's a movie with Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice. Yes,
Is it?
I have heard of that.
I'm not.
I just didn't think
Michael
about it in
Keaton.
context.
Nope, don't remember that at all. I'm not very good with film. Is it a classic?
Yeah, I think it is.
I
It's
really
quite an
need
old
to. I'm one of those very uncultured people that's never watched a black and white film. So I really need to sort that out one day. Okay, there we go. 2 inches wide. I love these large quilting rulers for handles. Right, come on. Got a little bit of curve going on. Now the reason these handles might seem like they're really long is because they've got no raw edges, so we're folding them to join towards each other, which means they're kind of twice as long as you might think that they are. Sorry, they need to be twice the length that you want them. I'll show you what I mean in a minute.
I was just thinking they're really long.
Yeah, they will be really long because they come around and they join sort of like here or in the middle, depending where you want the join to be. So they're actually 2 inches thick, but they end up 1 inch thick. And it means that you don't end up with any raw edges or anything. But it's going to be half the length that you think it's going to be. Oh, I totally got this one out wrong. I've got it 4 inches wide instead of 5 inches wide instead of 4. Okay.
That's me chatting too much. Distracting you.
Which means I've got a nice long thin strip of cork, but I wonder if I could make some key fobs or something out of that. Something small. I've been wanting to make it one of those key fobs. I think it's going to be in my next pattern. You know, that like just clips on, so on the inside you've got something to clip your keys to. Okay, that's my 2 handles cut out. That my neat pile of fabric. What else do we need? We need a base overlay. Okay, so the base overlay is going to be on the base to protect it. So generally you're going to want to go with cork, vinyl, something like that.
Hi Terry as well.
Can I fit that there?
Yes.
Yes, just on the end.
Yeah, I love it when it fits perfectly.
Especially with cork because it's so expensive. I love cork in that it's environmentally friendly, it's easy to sew, and it just looks lovely, but yes, it's expensive, so I'm always really careful, or I try to be really careful with it. That piece says otherwise. Okay. Base overlay. Okay, and then we just need our 4 handle connectors, and then we can move on to cutting out our foam and everything. So, where have I put all my pattern pieces? Somewhere over here, I imagine. Oh, here we go. Okay, I need 4 of these. So these handle connectors, F is just this little bit here that joins, like connects your handle to the back. And
that's what it says on the tin.
Yeah, it does. Right, let's have a look. Okay, might just cut these out all at once. Okay. Is anybody else using cork then for their bag?
Becky says cork is the best. Yeah, we love cork too.
Yeah.
Sheila says, I wonder if you could bind with cork. It's the right width. With the cork that we've just
Oh,
That's quite a good idea.
That is quite a good idea. Oh, I wonder if it's going to be too thick, but we could always give it a try.
Yeah, it would always match up as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you'll never know until you try. Sometimes I try these things and it goes horribly wrong, but hopefully this won't be.
Honesta says, I love using cork to add accent to my bags.
Yeah, I do, and we use it like mostly for like bases and handles because it's really expensive using it for the whole bag. But those parts, they just like need the extra wear, don't they? But
yeah, it's hard wearing, isn't it? And this navy one is really nice.
Yes, yeah, it is really nice, isn't it? Right, Debs, we're going to cut out the foam next. Oh, actually, should we cut the base stabiliser first, since that's different to everything else?
That's up here as well, isn't it?
That's the one. Yep. Okay, what pattern piece do we need for it? We need... Shall I give you all of these pattern pieces? And keep these safe somewhere, Debs.
Yeah.
So that I don't cut something. Okay, so you'll have a base stabiliser piece, and that is for Peltex or something similar to Peltex. Now my Peltex has ended up being a really weird shape because of my current pattern that is coming out soon. it requires a couple of big chunks, so I've ended up with this like really weird shape left over. Give you that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, because me and Debbie have decided to use foam to go for like a really sturdy bag, we're going to start cutting out the foam, but we're going to cut it differently to the Decaville. So if you're using Decaville, your stabiliser pieces are in the pan. And can I have a pocket piece quickly? I'll show you that the difference. The stabiliser is 1/2 inch smaller all the way around, so it's not in your seams. So that's what you want to use if you're using Decaville Light or any fusible stabiliser, but we're going to use foam, sew-in foam. So instead of that, we're just going to use the standard pattern pieces for everything. So we're going to cut out foam for our 2 top pieces, for our tongue closure, for our front and back panels, and for our sides. So, Debs, do you want to do this bit?
Yep, go on.
Right. Here's the foam. I'll just find the other pattern pieces for you.
Just need something to stop it from rolling off the edge.
Oh, have you found something? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Front and back, okay. And then you want this one. So we need 2 of those, 2 of the top side pieces. So I've also got our zips cut out ready to go, and I've put a zip pull on each just so that next week they're ready as well. Judy Klepp says about Decaville Heavy for the base. Yes, I quite often use Decaville Heavy for the base, and instead of Peltex, and I think they're quite good equivalents for each other. I once bought I bought 4 meters of Decaville Light, and then it was on sale, so I just bought it, and I didn't open it for 6 months, and when I opened it up it was Decaville Heavy, and which is actually great for me because Decaville Heavy is like twice the price, and because it had been so long, the people I bought it off said just don't worry about it. But 4 meters of Decaville Heavy is a lot to get through, so I was using it on my bases for ages and ages, and I really, really like it, but it wasn't available when I ran out, so I just got some Peltex, and I quite like Peltex as well as an alternative.
Did you tell me once as well that if you've only got Decaville Light, you can just double up on that? Am I right?
Yeah, technically you can, because it's twice the thickness Decaville Heavy, so you can just use 2 of it. Yeah, 2 layers of Decaville Light equals 1 layer of Decaville Heavy. Oh, Beetlejuice is a comedy scary genre. Still, yeah, do you know, I'm just rubbish with films, aren't I? Adam had a go at me the other day because I'd never watched The Goonies. Still not watched it, even now.
Oddly, I have watched The Goonies with Adam in a cave.
Oh, that sounds very odd.
The kids and a few friends.
They do that sort of thing here in Cornwall. They do like these outdoor screenings, they call them, and they do them like in caves and at the airport and on the beach and all sorts of stuff. Like
on the ferry? You watched something scary on the ferry, didn't you?
Yeah, what was it? The Abyss or something. You watched it in the ferry in the middle of the river. They do all that sort of stuff here. I don't know if they do that in other places.
2 of these?
2 of those, please. Right, so we've got our 2 end pieces. Them over there. We've got our 2 top pieces.
First.
Tongue closure. So if you're using Decaville Light, make sure you use the smaller pattern pieces. You don't want Decaville Light in your seams. It would be such a nightmare to do the binding because there'll just be so much thickness in there. Oh, Debs, we're charging for it.
Oh, I love these
acrylics make all the difference.
Yes, that's just what I was going to say. I absolutely love the acrylics. Just
I love them.
Done.
I feel like compelled to get them because the guy who makes them and sells them for me, he's like, you just send me a pattern, and like when you're releasing one, and I'll make the acrylics for them, and if anybody wants them, they can buy them. But I always feel like I need to have a set just to check. So I've ended up with a set. But my next bag pattern is massive, and I'm like, I just feel like the acrylics are going to be so huge. I don't know where I'm going to keep them, so I'm on the fence about that one. But for something like the Lowarn, because it's so tiny, you know, they're easier to store. Where do you get your Peltex? I get the Peltex from Sewhot. Sewhot.co.uk. It's Peltex 71F, which is fusible on one side. Don't ask me why you'd want fusible on both sides, but you can get it.
Is that it?
That is it. Oh, the template's still not available in the US. No. I have tried contacting Tops and Bobbins a couple of times, and they were going to get back to me, but they've been really, really busy. So they said it would be a while. It's probably been about 5 months, and I'm now not sure whether to contact them a third time or not. So at the moment, they're not available in the US, but the guy who sells them in the UK will ship to the US, but obviously shipping is going to be, an issue. So that's the problem. Okay, Debs, can you grab our list and we'll see if we've got everything.
This one here.
Okay, so we've got our Peltex, we've got our zips, we've got our foam. Oh yes, so magnetic snapbackers, they're just to like protect the fabric from the magnetic snaps. So I know I've got measurements on there for them, but basically I just kind of do this. And then I just have those for my magnetic snaps. So we've got those. We've got all the other stabilisers. We're not doing a crossbody strap. The last thing we need to cut out is the binding. We're going to go with just standard binding, I think, aren't we? Unless you want to give fold over elastic a try.
Whichever's easier.
I don't know. I never tried it. I'm told it's easier. Has anybody tried
Which
fold
one
over
goes-
elastic? Can you tell us for sure whether it's easier?
Could you grab a piece of the lining fabric and we'll see which one goes better? That's the exterior,
Sorry.
isn't it?
Yes. Lining. Oh, it's going to be a pretty bag. So grey with it or black with it? I've got to
Not
admit, I
using it
actually really
much.
like the black because it's like got a cool contrast.
Yeah, it makes a point, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Okay,
grey's
yeah,
not
let's
doing it
go
me.
for black.
If we had black elastic, maybe I'd give that a try. Is Decaville you get 17-inch wide or wider? The Decaville we get in the UK is 35 inches wide. We get it like on a bolt. So like my foam is, like on a big roll, we get it like that. I think it's 25 metres probably. But if you're in the US, loads of people have said to me that they get it from cereal bag makers. She's based in Belgium. She sells the bolts, but she has some special shipping to the US that takes like 3 days and isn't that expensive. I don't know how it works, but loads of people have said that that's how they do it to get the wide Decaville. Oh, thinking about trying to make templates with a 3D printer. I like that idea. Okay, so Dalva says she's used the folded elastic but had trouble to meet the ends. That's a really good point. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do some more research on it, but we'll use the standard binding for now. So Debs, we need, what do we need? 23 inches of that, and we need 2 lots of 23. Oh. There you go. Oh, if I just gone through your finger or something, that would felt bad. This scissors are really sharp.
Especially as I need my fingers for work.
Yeah.
As a secretary.
Okay, so that is everything cut out. So one last thing I was going to show you guys before we finish today is my next pan. So hopefully this is going to come out next week. But it does depend on me finishing the video, and it just kind of depends. We've had a bit of a crazy week with our other work. So yes, hopefully I'll get the video done this week. I'm aiming for the pattern to release on Thursday, but I'm not going to make any promises. So this is a big one. So this is the new pattern. This is called the Miyako Tote, because you know I love my weird names. And it's really structured, so it's got like Peltex and Decaville on these side panels. And on the inside, it's super simple. It is no pockets. It's just like a throw everything in it tote, you know.
Mum bag.
Yeah, it's a mum bag, yeah. So you don't lose stuff in your pockets, it's just all in there. Then you've got a big front zip pocket, which has loads of space for a phone. And maybe your keys and things. And on the back, it's got a big slip pocket. So it's not got a zip top closure because it's a beginner friendly pattern. Want it to be this really beginner friendly. It's got box corners. It comes together really quickly, and it's my first drop-in lining pattern. So I've got like this method that I've been using that I really like, and I feel like it gives like a really neat finish to the top, because I know that drop-in linings can feel pretty scary to get that neat finish. So yeah, hopefully you guys are going to love it, but I'll be filming the tutorial for that this week, and hopefully it'll be out next Thursday.
And can we show them the other prototype?
I don't think I have it in here. So, oh, I don't have it in here? Okay. This is the one I've just been using loads.
Oh, completely different because of the colours.
Yeah, so this one is totally different. And this is my handmade zips that on my website say very specifically to only use them for vertical zips. And this is the reason, because the slider is designed so it hangs down perfectly, but it won't hang to the side properly. So I couldn't resist. I broke my own rules. And yeah, it's got rainbow stitching and rainbow vinyl. I got this thread and vinyl from Little Stitcher Sews. So this is my first time using her vinyl, and I've been using this as my everyday bag to try out her vinyl, and I just like to make sure that I try these things out. Yeah, so it's got 2 magnetic snaps at the top, so they just close like automatically, so it keeps it closed on its own. But there you go. Let me see if we've got any questions. O-rings are back. I couldn't resist the O-rings.
She loves the O-rings.
Wondering about the hardware. Oh, okay, right. Let me just have a look. Oh, somebody says the folded elastic is better for going along curves. That's what I've heard, because it's like stretchy, so it's much easier.
Curves are what we're doing.
Exactly. Ruth, wondering about the hardware. Pattern calls for 3/4 inch rectangle rings. I just got them and they seem a bit small. Would 1 inch work better? So you can use either, depending whether you want to do the small or the large handles. So for this one, we used 1 inch, and I think we're doing 1 inch on ours that we're doing now as well.
Yeah.
But if you're doing like the little grab handles, then in the pattern they're just 3/4 inch instead, because the grab handles are like small, delicate, and it just looks kind of nice like that. So it's totally up to you. This is a 3/4 inch strap, so you can kind of see the difference actually. It's just like a bit more petite, a bit more, I don't know, neat. I like it, yeah. But personal choice, Ruth, totally up to you. Right. Oh, so there is a few places in Canada that sell Decaville light in the wide, apparently. Oh, and there's somebody in the US who sells the Serial Bag Makers interfacing and hardware, so that's handy. Serial Bag Makers is based in Belgium, but she has loads of great stuff. And you guys in the US can buy easily from her. We can't anymore because of Brexit, but there you go. Love the black one. Ah, oh, thanks, I'm really glad, because I really felt like I was gambling with the rainbow thread. It was going to be too much rainbow, but
Never.
I went for it. Yeah. There are different hang zips. Yeah, there's not, to be honest, most zips normally aren't a problem, but my supplier, when I had these made, put a different one completely unexpectedly on, which, yeah, if it's an up-down zip, is great, and it means it hangs straight all the time. It doesn't move around. But when you want it to be on a horizontal zip and move around, it's a bit of a pain. So there you go. Right, that's everything for this week, and next week we are actually going to sew. We're going to start sewing this up. We're going to do the whole of the top panel. So Debbie's going to be doing the sewing, and it will be the same time, 5 PM UK time, and we hope you can all join us. If not, you can always catch up afterwards. So next week we will sew half of it, and then the final week will be the Sunday after that.
Yeah, and if you're terrified of curves, then you're in good company.
Yeah. We'll have some little tips to help you get around the curves because yeah, we've got a few different tips, especially hand basting, which you're gonna say like, no way, I don't want to do anything by hand. But you'd be amazed how it just takes the stress out of it. So we'll show you that. Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, yeah, Adam. Oh, it's so warm.